Thanks everyone for joining us for another edition of our Power BI update from the Agile team. So I'm Matt. On the video, we've also got Kane, Owen, and Iman, who you would have met last time. So today we'll be talking about a number of Power BI updates. As you know or you see, lots of updates coming out from the Microsoft team this month. The ones we've highlighted in yellow are the ones that we're actually going to spend a little bit of time on. If you're interested and want to learn more, you can actually go down to the source at the bottom here and just look at all the remaining updates. But let's get into it. Kane, do you want to start us off with a couple of the ones that you're interested in?
Sure, thanks, Matt. So the first one I wanted to look at was the optimization of the switch statement, and I was lucky enough that I had two laptops running when the update came out, so I thought I'll run a quick comparison to see just how much it's improved. So I quickly grabbed the discount percentage query that's on the DAX guide page for the switch statement, and I just changed it slightly so that it works at a product level. And I loaded in nearly 1,500 different products into a switch statement and assigning each of them a different random 15-digit decimal value. So heaps and heaps of data in there. And yeah, the results were very surprising for me. I was pretty impressed. So if you want to go to the next slide, Matt. Yeah, September Power BI desktop, it took over 20 seconds to execute. So it was a very hefty query. It was iterating, every product in the fact table, and there was like I said, nearly 1,500. So it's not that surprising that it took 20 seconds. But if you want to go to the next slide, so 644 milliseconds, or just over half a second for October Power BI desktop, which is over 30 times faster on that query. So pretty amazing how quickly it could do something that previously took over 20 seconds. The only point that I'll mention briefly as well is that the XM SQL and the queries were identical, except I noticed that in the October version of Power BI desktop, it adds fact and dim to the names of the tables, which in my model they were just sales and product, but you'll see it actually adds fact, sales and dim product, which was different to September version, so might have something to do with the optimization there. Something else that I was keen to have a look at was the heat map in Azure Maps. I really enjoy working with maps in Power BI. I think it's a lot of fun, but most of the time I've been gravitating towards custom visuals because they have a bit more extended functionality. I think the mapping's been a little bit lacking in Power BI, but I think Azure Maps is one to keep an eye on because it's catching up very quickly and implementing more and more features, and I think it's becoming quite a good native option. I tried out the heat map functionality and found it to be just as good as any other heat map visual that I've used in the past. And lastly, another thing that I thought was quite cool was the Info River custom visual becoming available. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't checked it out already. It's kind of adds some of the functionality that you get in Excel that you can find yourself wanting in Power BI sometimes. It's kind of like the matrix visual, but kind of pumped up on steroids, where you can format individual cells, format rows, expand and collapse columns, pin things, pagination, be handy for financial reporting, could be another option instead of paginated reports. So yeah, definitely worth a look. That's it for me, so I'll hand over to you, Al.
Thanks, Kane. Great. This month I wanted to talk about a couple of interesting features. There's in fact, 5 new functions for Bitwise Operations. Now, these are all functions that come from Excel, so you may well have seen them in the past. But so we have 2 functions for shifting bits, left or right, and 3 functions for the logical operations, sort of and or exclusive or. These might not come up in every business scenario, but one case where I have seen they can be applied quite nicely is outputting numbers in a binary format. So I've got a little query here which I put together. It's based on something from Dax.tips, Phil Seamark's blog, where you want to take a number and output it as a binary string. So this query here down on line 16 actually uses the bit shift to shift the number in binary form to the right, and then AND it with 1 with bit AND, which has the effect of extracting the digits one by one, and then they get pieced back together into a string. So this is one application. I'm sure there might be others where you're dealing with maybe binary data sources and you want to perform operations in DAX on those. So yeah, an interesting set of functions to play with. And the second feature I wanted to talk about, I'll just share my screen for this one, is the composite models, or I should say direct query over Power BI datasets feature. It's been around for a while in preview, and just to explain what the overall feature is, it allows you to connect to a Power BI dataset in direct query mode, which means you can actually connect to multiple Power BI datasets and bring in additional data into the one local model. So here I have two Power BI datasets, the light blue and the dark blue, and I also have an Excel file I've imported over on the side here. So this is a really great feature, obviously still in preview, but it lets you make use of different Power BI datasets that might be owned by different teams and put them together into one centralized data set for reporting. And the new feature that's come out this month is that you can be a bit more selective about what you bring in. So you can see here I've brought in this budget table, but that comes from a model, a data set that includes a number of other tables. So actually if I go into transform data source settings, I can go to my budget, connection, change source, and we can then have a look at what columns are available. So a second to load. Yeah, so I've brought in the budget table. There is also customer and date, but I've chosen not to bring those in. So I don't have to bring in tables that I don't need that I might already have from another source. So yeah, overall a great feature and great to see these improvements, and hopefully it moves pretty soon, let's hope, into GA. So it's been in preview for a while, but yeah, go ahead and play around with this. It's quite a cool feature to play with. Yeah, so that's all from me. I'll hand over now to Iman. Stop sharing.
Thanks, Owen. I actually picked 4 features. One is object level security and 3 features from admin and governance. So first of all, what is object level security? As you know, it enables you to secure specific tables or columns for report viewers. It's been there. It's been around for a while now, but now you can do this in Power BI embedded as well. Sometimes get questions about the differences between object level security, row level security, and perspectives. Well, first of all, perspectives are not security features. They are actually enabling you to hide tables and columns from users, but they are not securing the data. In other hand, row level security is a security feature, as the name suggests. So you can completely hide, you can actually secure the records by applying some roles and DAX. But it doesn't completely hide the model metadata. What that means is that you can still see the column names and tables and so on. Object level security does both. It's a security feature and it also hides all the metadata. If you want to enable object level security, you need to use external tools such as tabular editor or some other options in with XMLA endpoint. The other feature is now general availability of Power BI Premium Gen 2. I think the main focus in Gen 2 is around performance and stability. It can increase your capacity size automatically. When you have unplanned spike in demand, it uses auto-scaling to do, and you pay as you go, as per like many other Azure services. That's a really good feature if you don't want to add a lot of overhead to your admin to check for those unplanned demands. The next one is new API to determine who has access to what Power BI assets. So it takes the graph ID of a user and returns list of assets that the user has access to. That's in preview, but that's a very good API feature that admins can use to understand who has access to what. The next one is deployment pipeline APIs that is now generally available. So it enables developers to manage Power BI releases as part of their DevOps or CI/CD pipelines. Sometimes you want to automatically add new workspace to the pipeline and also add some maybe members with the access, and you want to do this fully automated. This is not for like a business power user. This is mainly for large scale IT implementation that you want to use in your project. That's it for me. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Iman. All right, that's it for today. Thanks everyone for joining us. Obviously, this is going to be a recurring thing for us, so please join us again next month when Power BI next release comes out, and you'll be the team over at Agile will make sure that we kind of cover off the key things to know of. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.